Well, welcome. Today we're talking about jamón, which is Spanish ham, of course, but it's very different to the ham you're used to if you're from Northern Europe. So today we're going to talk about the three key different types of jamón. We're also going to tell you how to pronounce it, and we'll explain the differences between them. So stay tuned until the end to find out about the very best Spanish jamón you can get. Now we should start with talking about how to pronounce the word, which is spelled Jamon. And there's an accent on the O, and the signal in Spanish when you see an accent on a vowel is that is where the push should be on that word. So without the accent it would be jamón, but the accent is on the O at the end, so it's jamón. And the other thing, of course, is that the J is pronounced almost like an H in Spanish. So rather than jamón, it's jamón. Now, a jamón is the hind leg of a pig, and it's cured for a period of around a year. Now, the jamón is cured using a fairly simple step-by-step process. Step one, the hind is covered in sea salt. And the rule of thumb then is that it's sat in that sea salt for 1 day per pound of meat. Next, the hams are rinsed and they're stored for 1 or 2 months more to give the salt a chance to penetrate deep into the flesh of the hind. Next, the hams are moved to a secadero, which is a drying room. And they're hung on ropes in the secadero for a period of 6 to 12 months. To allow the flavours to really develop. Now, the temperature and humidity of these secaderos is very, very carefully controlled. If you see old historic secaderos, you'll see they've got loads and loads of windows around the outside so that the ham master could go around opening and closing them to get the temperature and humidity just right for these hams to cure in a period of 6 to 12 months. Now, during this time, they'll lose a considerable amount of weight as they dry out and they cure. Now, this whole process is very different to Parma hams, for example, from Italy, where the hams are covered in a layer of lard and they're left to sit in that lard for the period of 6 to 12 months. Here, there's no outer covering on the ham, so it's beautifully cured and air dried without any other stuff other than the salt going into it. Now, the process isn't finished yet, because once the curing process has been completed, the hams will go to a bodega for further maturation. And it could be anything from 1 to 3 years more that they'll be hung and just gradually allowing the flavours to develop and get stronger and better. And that decision, of course, is made only by the ham master. And he will look at each individual ham and make a decision based on how he feels it looks and tastes at any given moment. Now, I said we'd talk about the three different types of jamón. And the first one is the one you've probably seen most commonly, is Jamon Serrano. Now, Serrano represents about 90% of the production of jamón in Spain. It's what I think of as an everyday eating ham. And it comes from white pigs, typically fed on cereals. So if you're going to knock up a quick ham sandwich, you would probably use Jamon Serrano with some nicely sliced fresh plum tomatoes or something like that, and a little bit of salt. But it can also be used within dishes, so it's quite often added in thin chunks to vegetables, for example. You might have it alongside a salad. You can eat it on bread. You can eat it on biscuits. It's just an everyday, regular eating ham. But the star of the show here in Spain is the Jamon Iberico. And this represents about 10% of the total output of hams in Spain. Jamon Iberico is the pride of Spain, and most Spanish people will tell you it is the best ham in the world. And it's made exclusively from black pigs, which go back centuries in their breeding, so that they're perfectly bred for creating these beautifully marbled, very, very dry and well-matured hams. Typically, Jamon Iberico is matured for an additional 2 years beyond the Jamon Serrano to really allow those deep, deep flavours to develop. What that means is they've had at least 3 years of maturation before they reach your table. Now, the third type of ham is a step up even from Jamon Iberico, and it's Jamon Iberico Bellota, and that's spelt Bellota. And Bellota means acorn. And this particular ham comes from wild, free-roaming black pigs. So it's the same pigs that the normal Iberico is made from, but they are wild and they're roaming in the acorn forests of central Spain. It is absolutely fabulous, and if you see it on a menu, it will be expensive. I highly recommend you try it. A leg of Jamon Iberico Bellota can be around €2,000. Now, a jamon is normally mounted on a jamonero, which is a sort of holder specifically designed for the shape of a pig's leg, and it will be gripped very tightly at either end, and then the ham master in any given restaurant or cafe will be responsible for carving it into wafer thin slices. In the best restaurants, they will bring the jamonero to your table and they will carve it in front of you, laying the pieces of ham out beautifully in a circle on the plate in front of you to enjoy. Now, Bellota hams are aged for 4 years or more, a minimum of 4 years. And the maturation process and the acorns produce a fat that is mono-unsaturated. So the fatty part of it, where all the flavour is extremely healthy and very good for you. It has the same qualities as olive oil in that respect. And we should finish up to talk about how to eat jamon, because there is a secret to this. And those little pieces we talked about, just pick one piece up at a time, put it in your mouth and don't dive into it straight away. Allow it to warm up to body temperature within your mouth, and you'll find the flavours will develop much, much better than if you start chewing it straight away as soon as it goes into your mouth. It's something that should be savoured and enjoyed. And the very best one, the Iberico Bellota, should be enjoyed with the very best wine you can afford and nothing else. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll get some benefit in trying the various different jamons available in Spain in the future. And to you all, buen provecho.